For today's meditation, let us read from 1 Kings chapter 2, verses 1 to 9. When David's time to die drew near, he commanded Solomon his son, saying, I am about to go the way of all the earth. Be strong and show yourself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord your God, walking in his ways and keeping his statutes, his commandments, his rules, and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that you may prosper in all that you do and wherever you turn, that the Lord may establish his word that is spoke concerning me, saying, if your sons pay close attention to their way, to walk before me in faithfulness with all their heart and with all their soul, you shall not lack a man on the throne of Israel. Moreover, you also know that Joab the son of Zeruiah did to me, how he dealt with the two commanders of the armies of Israel, Abner the son of Ner and Amasa the son of Jether, whom he killed, avenging in time of peace for blood that had been shed in war, and putting the blood of war on the belt around his waist and on the sandals on his feet. Act therefore according to your wisdom, but do not let his grey head go down to Sheol in peace. But deal loyally with the sons of Barzillai the Gileadite, and let him be among those who eat at your table. For with such loyalty they met me when I fled from Absalom your brother. And there is also with you Shimei the son of Gera, the Benjaminite from Bahurim, who cursed me with a grievous curse on the day when I went to Mahanaim. But when he came down to meet me at the Jordan, I swore to him by the Lord, saying, I will not put you to death with the sword. Now therefore, do not hold him guiltless, for you are a wise man. You will know what you ought to do to him, and you shall bring his grey head down with blood to Sheol. David's final message to his son Solomon was a call to be strong and manly. Reflecting on his own life, David may have seen the weakness in his character when dealing with the sins and rebellion of his children and relatives. His failure to act decisively in those moments threatened the stability of the kingdom. As a result, David urged Solomon to be firm and do what was right in the sight of God. This was not just a call for personal strength, but a reminder to lead with the strength that comes from God. In Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10, the Apostle Paul echoes a similar thought. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. He goes on to advise believers to put on the full armor of God, because the Christian life is not a playground, but a battlefield. David understood that for Solomon to be strong in the Lord, he had to follow God's commands faithfully. Solomon was instructed to keep the charge of the Lord your God, walking in his ways and keeping his statutes, his commandments, his rules, and his testimonies. Obedience to God is the surest path to strength. When we walk in obedience, we gain the moral authority to exercise spiritual leadership over those entrusted to our care. David also reminded Solomon that such obedience leads to success. He says that you may prosper in all that you do and wherever you turn. Echoes a promise in Psalm 1, which says, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of the sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by the streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. David further emphasizes the importance of a fully devoted heart, especially for rulers. He recalled the promise of God's continued blessings if his descendants would walk faithfully before the Lord with all their heart and soul. David's heart became a benchmark for future kings. and many were measured against his devotion. Often the narrative would state, but his heart was not perfect toward the Lord as his father David was. This shows the critical importance of keeping one's heart pure and fully dedicated to God. As Proverbs 4:23 advises, keep your heart with all vigilance, and from it flows the springs of life. David's parting words also included instructions for Solomon to exercise justice where he himself had failed. David could not act decisively against certain individuals, likely due to fear or political pressures, but he charged Solomon to begin his reign by righting those wrongs. One example was Joab, a military leader who had shed innocent blood during a time of peace. David had not acted against Joab, possibly because of Joab's influence over the army or because David was haunted by his own guilt in the murder of Uriah the Hittite, where Joab played a part. Nevertheless, David urged Solomon to deal with Joab's sin. Similarly, David left instructions concerning Shimei, who had cursed David during Absalom's rebellion. In contrast, David instructed Solomon to show kindness to Barzillai the Gileadite, who had remained loyal during Absalom's rebellion. Through these instructions, David showed Solomon that justice and mercy must go hand in hand in establishing a just and stable throne. When Solomon ascended the throne, he did not immediately carry out the executions of those who had wronged his father. He first gave them opportunities to prove themselves or repent. However, when Adonijah, Joab, and Shimei failed to do so, Solomon acted decisively. Adonijah, Solomon's half-brother, revealed his true intentions when he asked for Abishag, David's former concubine, in marriage. This request was not merely personal but politically charged, and it could have been seen as a claim to the throne. Solomon had previously said to Adonijah, "If he will show himself a worthy man, not one of his hairs shall fall to the earth. But if wickedness is found in him, he shall die." Adonijah's ambition led to his downfall, and he paid with his life. Abiathar the priest and Joab the military commander had supported Adonijah's claim to the throne. Solomon showed mercy to Abiathar by exiling him from the priesthood rather than executing him. But Joab, knowing he was next in line for judgment, fled to the altar for refuge. This was out of character for a man who had never before shown regard for the things of God. Despite seeking refuge at the altar, Joab's past sin of shedding blood and rebellion caught up with him, and he died a violent death. Shimei too was given a chance to live in peace by Solomon with the simple condition that he remain in Jerusalem. But Shimei disregarded Solomon's warning and left the city to pursue his servants across the Jordan River. This act of defiance cost Shimei his life, as he chose to risk everything over a trivial matter, showing a lack of respect for the king's command. Through these acts of justice and mercy, Solomon solidified his reign. The kingdom was finally established in his hands because he balanced the need for justice with opportunities for mercy. As we reflect on this story, we too are called to live out justice and mercy in our daily lives. Micah chapter 6 verse 8 reminds us, "See that justice is done. Let mercy be your first concern, and humbly obey your God." Solomon's reign began with acts of both justice and mercy. And we are likewise called to balance these two virtues in our relationship with others, seeking to reflect the character of God in all we do. God bless.